All right, folks, welcome to this latest episode of Behind the Start Line. My name is Eric Burnett, and I'm here with my co-host, Troy Schooley. Troy.
Yeah, look at that intro. What is
I know. I don't know.
Like
I was
entering the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like my walk-up.
Troy, the Mad Dog Schooley.
How's it going today?
It's good, man. Good? I mean, I feel like I'm excited about all of our episodes for different reasons, but I'm particularly excited about this one. And I think I've alluded to this being my favorite part of what P3R does. So it comes with no surprise that when we're talking about the Kids of Steel program, it's just,
yeah. I mean, we could talk, I honestly could talk about this program for hours.
Yes.
You know, it's obviously the focal point of our organization. It's the largest.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Focal point.
Absolutely. I mean, our nonprofit
That's a huge statement.
You know, we're a nonprofit organization. It goes back into supporting the Kids of Steel program.
Right.
The reason why. Yeah. I mean, it's the largest kids marathon in the country.
That's so cool.
Like 8,000 kids. Yeah. So, it's just, it just continues to grow. We continue to put resources in it. We continue to hire staff around it because it's heavy lifting.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like 186 schools now.
That's
throughout the region. So when we're trying to visit schools, I mean, if you think about going from an assembly to an assembly in the north and the south, and Greene County, Lawrence County, it's just
all over the place.
It's taken off, and we're super proud of it. That's why I say I could talk about it for hours, because I'm super proud of the program.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the future. It's the future of everything. The kids are the future. No matter what you're talking about or what you believe, the kids are the key to that. And, I think the thing that's also just so exciting is that they're inspiring. They can change. Our lives can change by changing their lives, and
through them.
Yeah. Through them.
And what we're seeing too, because we do so many events throughout the year, we're seeing these kids that might've ran their first kids marathon come back for the Dollar Bank Junior Great Race or the Fleet Feet Liberty Mile. Mm-hmm. And they're, you know what I mean? And we remember them.
Yep.
There's that smile. You don't forget it.
Yeah.
Like you just don't forget it. So, totally. And the parents too, usually they're running with their parents, or their parents are there cheering them on. So it's great to see them not just become active January till May 3rd or 1st or whenever the kids marathon is. It's great to see them throughout the year to know that they're taking the journey serious.
Yeah.
And more importantly, their parents are too.
Yeah.
Their parents are bringing them to these events. And whether they're running with them or just supporting them, I think that's a big, big piece of the puzzle.
Sure. Well, they're creating this following. They're their own little mini following, and you get 186 schools worth of that. And it's a movement, which is nuts. But you mentioned the kids marathon. Now, I think a lot of people might hear that and they might be like, wait, what? We're going to have our kids run 26.2 miles on a given day? You're insane. I can't even do that. So let's calm everyone's spirits here.
We've had that too. We've had people reach out. Why are you making kids run 26.2 miles? That's ridiculous.
You nuts? Yeah, totally. Which would be ridiculous.
Let's think about that a little bit. K through 5 running 26 miles. But
so tell us what you guys really do with the kids marathon.
So it's an in-school program, whether it's some schools do it before school, some do it after school, some do it during school, during their phys ed class. And starting in January, usually mid-January, we supply them with essentially an instructional kit of what the mileage they should be doing each week leading up to the kids marathon.
Gotcha.
So the kids run 25 miles in their specific schools program from, like I said, mid-January till, end of April. And then they run the final 1.2 miles on the marathon course. They get to finish on the marathon finish line. So on Saturday of race weekend, the kids run their final 1.2, which makes it 26.2 for their journey that they took. Now, every school does it different too. I think my kids' school, they run like 2.5 miles a week, I believe, so they'll do their before school. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, Monday, Wednesdays, they'll do like a 0.5 mile a day. Or, maybe it's 3/4 miles. So each school will do it different, and that's great. I mean, but it keeps kids active throughout, and they are able to tell somebody they ran a marathon, because once again, we don't care how you run it. You ran 26.2 miles.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Got logged down in the books.
Right.
It's awesome. And
Right.
it's got, I mean, it just probably makes for that finish line experience right there just so much more meaningful because they've been building up to it since January, and it's just, this is the culminating point for them.
Well, and that's a great point, Eric, because let's make this clear. I don't think that every kid is super excited that their parents have enrolled them in Kids of Steel because a lot of the times they have to wake up earlier. Mm-hmm. Right. You know what I mean? Kids are waking up at 7 instead of 7:30. Right. I have to go run. This is stupid. Right. You
Sure.
You hear that.
Sure.
I might have even heard that in my own household. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the one thing that it does is when they cross that finish line, and we've seen it, you've been there with me on marathon weekend, those kids that might have said, this is stupid. They're the ones that are saying, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. They're the ones with the biggest smile. They're the ones that showcase their medal on their, their dresser drawers or their mirrors in their rooms because they're proud of it. So I think that, I don't want to say that the majority of kids, but a lot of kids are saying, oh, this is dumb, I'm not doing it. And then by the end of this, they're like, sign me up for the next one or sign me up for an event because, they get the bug just like adults do.
Get me in the Liberty Mile, get me in the great race, junior great race. Totally.
It's great to see that.
Yeah. It's got to feel good as parents too, who are, whenever they get that response at the finish line from, their kids that were doubting them this whole time. And they can just be like, well, next time I tell you that you're going to enjoy something, you might want to believe me next time.
Believe me a little bit. Right. Have a little faith.
Yeah. Have a little faith. Totally. Well, it's such an awesome program. One question that I've a lot of questions because it's so interesting, but I think most of them.
We got a guest on here that's hopefully going to answer any questions you have, he's great.
He'll fill us in on the majority. But one thing I'm really is itching right now is these kids, and you kind of touched on it a little bit. You said their parents enroll them. So it's not a program that it's like, hey, P3R comes to the school and it becomes like a required course thing. It is again, before, after, or maybe in the middle of school. But how are the kids? The kids are just signing up. The parents enroll them online, or the parents enroll them in the school? Yeah.
So once again, out of the 186, everyone is a little bit different, right? Mm-hmm. So the great thing about it is each school, we have a coach or an ambassador that's going to take the lead. Right. And whether she sends it directly to the parents saying, hey, we have this opportunity for the Kids of Steel program, sign up here. Or, older kids, 3rd, 4th, 5th, because the program's K through 5, 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, they can sign up on their own within the school. The school makes it available. The phys ed teacher might talk about it and say, hey, do you guys want to be more active? And then it's one of those things that the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grader, maybe younger, take it home to their parents and say, hey, I signed up for Kids of Steel. And the parents are like, what the hell is this? This means I have to drop you off. You know what I mean? But most parents are really willing once they see what the program's about. I mean, You'd be crazy not to. I mean, it's going to make your kid more active and more healthy.
Goal-oriented, driven. Right. Yep. All the great things that, you want to instill in the kids at an early age. So like I said, each school does it a little bit differently. But the parents' involvement is a big deal because we need to have them involved to get them to race weekend. We need them involved if it's a before school or after school program. Some do it weekends, things like that. And the great thing is we've seen is that parents become so involved that they become runners because it's like, well, I got to drop them off anyways. Like, so I think that it's great seeing parents run their first mile or run their first 5K because their kid was doing it. So totally. Man. Yeah, it definitely is a great part of your organization and a great thing to have as one of P3R's OKRs. And I didn't realize that until just now, and it makes total sense. And kudos to you guys for realizing, that's what it's all about. Absolutely. Very cool. Well, I'm dying to hear more about the Kids of Steel program, even more than I already know, because I love it so much. And like you said, we have the perfect guest on this episode to tell us all that we need to know about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on Program Services Coordinator here at P3R and Kids of Steel Program Extraordinaire, Mr. Derrick Schaffner. Hey, Derrick. Derrick, how's it going?
Good, Eric. Good. Happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we're coming on, D. Excited to have you here. And I've gotten into this trend of starting out by asking, how did you come to Pittsburgh and how did you end up at P3R? And I know, at least from the little like social media diving that I did for you, you're not from the North. You're from North Carolina, correct? Okay. So North Carolina, I saw, you went to Clemson, and we'll talk about your degree because I think it's really cool and obviously perfect for what you do now. But how did you end up coming up north? What brought you here?
Yeah. So go Tigers first and foremost. Everyone at P3R knows how obnoxious of a Tigers fan I am. So go Tigers.
Unbelievable. That only took about 65 seconds for you to get out of go Tigers, but proceed.
Shoot.
Hail to Pitt.
What brought me to Pittsburgh is my wife which is new. I got married in quarantine. So
oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Okay.
But I digress.
No. Don't digress. Well, hold on. That's too important to talk about. How did it go? How did you know, like, was it a small gathering? Was it Zoomed? How did you do it?
We had like a little small ceremony and reception, just family, immediate family, which was of course difficult. As mentioned, I'm from North Carolina, so it took a little bit of planning and rerouting, so to speak, to make it happen for my family to be here. Right. But we had about 12 of us, just immediate family, trying to keep everyone safe. And then Lexi, my wife's family, is from Mount Lebanon, so no travel necessary for them. But yeah, we made it happen, which was exciting to make it happen in the face of COVID and whatnot. But yeah, it was tremendous.
And you're married now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I DJ weddings. That's sort of my main job. And so I've been having these conversations with wedding couples nonstop recently. And it's unfortunate in a lot of ways, but in the end, I always say to them, look, at the end of the day, you're married, and there were 12 very important people in your lives there for you. And you can always still have a celebration. Are you guys planning on having like a traditional reception later after this all blows over?
Yeah, so we were planning to have our wedding in Asheville, North Carolina, where we first met, where I went to undergrad as well. So we planned on going back there, somewhat of a destination wedding, being that both of us are here in Pittsburgh, having the wedding there in May, but we were unable to. So we've pushed that kind of like ceremony and a reception, be like renewing the vows, so to speak, with all of our family and friends to next June. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, and Troy and I talk about this with the marathon. All those things are happening live in person in 2021. So you'll be fine.
Yep. I love it.
You'll be fine. Well, that's cool. So you met your wife in North Carolina, where you're from, but that's what brought you up here to Pittsburgh, where you now are, obviously, at P3R. That's what led you here. Yeah.
So we went to Western North Carolina for undergrad. Met there. I went to Clemson, again, go Tigers, for graduate school. She came to Pitt, so you can imagine the fracture within our relationship.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. House divided right there.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So she went to Pitt for grad school, came back home, and I graduated grad school from Clemson, went to Birmingham, Alabama, where I was a Paralympic and Olympic training coach for about a year there. And then just the relationship, just the distance, it becomes a little difficult. So I moved back to here. I actually applied and had an interview with Ruth. Shout out to Ruth here at P3R. The same week that I asked Lexi to marry me. So that was a big weekend interview, proposal, landed the job, and then moved here. So long story short, I'm a Pittsburgher now. I guess you could say transplant.
You're a winner. What a banner weekend right there.
Big week. Yeah.
It's quite a weekend for sure.
That's incredible. Well, I mean, congratulations for all these things. Congratulations for tying the knot and for being, in the greatest city in the land.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. It's tremendous to be in the sister city of Birmingham. There's so much overlap with Birmingham and Pittsburgh, the steel city of the South, Birmingham, and then being here in Pittsburgh now, it's great.
I never knew that. I never knew that was the case. That's really cool.
Learned something new today.
Yeah, thanks,
you, Derrick.
I'm bringing something to the
Bring
table.
the knowledge.
Yeah,
it's awesome. So, okay, well, let's dive into your role here at P3R as Program Services Coordinator. what's a normal day here in the office look like for you, Derrick, or out of the office, as I know so often it takes you?
Yeah. All things considered, in a normal day, pre-COVID-19, no 2 days are the same for me, really. I'm always out working in kind of various different capacities in various different programs. So I have my hand in just about every program here, from, of course, primarily Kids of Steel to Campus Challenge to Corporate Challenge. So it sounds cliche to say, but literally no 2 days are the same for me, from a scheduling perspective, visiting schools to visiting a corporation to visiting a university, and being flexible and malleable to engage and encourage each kind of demographic in a similar way, but in very different ways as well. So it's really fun. My time here at P3R in the office and primarily out of it, with engaging with stakeholders and consumers directly. So it's been really fun to plug in those communities and engage with people in various different ways.
Yeah, totally. So tell us a little bit, because I'm sorry, I was under the impression that Kids of Steel was the focus. You also do the Campus Challenge and the Corporate Challenge as well. Maybe just explain
a lot of hats on this guy.
Yeah, big time.
A lot of hats.
Yeah, so you're not just
he's a fitness fanatic too, which is awesome when he goes out to, especially the corporate. So Derrick, tell a little bit about Campus and Corporate.
Yeah. Enlighten us a little bit on those.
Yeah, so Campus Challenge is I think a really unique opportunity to engage with individuals at universities. So, under all of the umbrella of programmatic programs that we have here at P3R, I think foundationally, they're all the same once you look at them. Of course, we're contacting various different demographics and various different people. But I think foundationally, the responsibility of anyone within that program is to get people excited about running, to encourage them to move in whatever capacity that they're at, and then create a space where they feel welcome, supported and valued as part of the greater Pittsburgh running community. So that's oversets, everything that I do when I go into sites, whether it's Corporate Challenge, Campus Challenge, or Kids of Steel. So with that framework in mind, I think with Corporate Challenge specifically, I'll break down that I work in large conjunction with Caroline Fitzgerald, who oversees that program, who was tremendous, and the growth within Campus or Corporate Challenge has been unbelievable. And I think Troy can really attest to that, from where it started to where it is now is incredible. But what I think Caroline saw was just people are looking for community. And we're utilizing running as that vehicle for creating a safe space and a community within corporations, within schools, within universities, so on and so forth. So I think oftentimes you just need a catalyst, someone to go in there and rally the troops, so to speak, and say, you can do this and let's do this together, kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that's where I come in, with Campus Challenge or Corporate Challenge, and also with Caroline. So it's a lot of encouragement, a lot of telling people what to expect. A lot of combating, preconceived notions about running, or I'm not fit enough to run. I don't know where to start. I can't start, kind of thing. Combating those things. And I think that's universal. It's not just, unique to Corporate Challenge, but also to Campus and people as well.
So Derrick, are you going in there and are you giving them a training plan? Are you actually physically leading them in workouts and saying hey, I'm going to leave you guys with this and I'll check back in later, good luck? Or is it more of a presentation, or is it like a hands-on interaction?
Yeah. So with Corporate Challenge, it's lunch and learns. And then we bridge that out into a couple of other different capacities as well. I've supported, the EQT 10 miler last year. I created a training plan specific to Corporate Challenge that people can utilize as they prep for the 10 miles that they're about to embark on. Mm-hmm. We're building out things like that for the, of course, Steel City, but also for the upcoming marathon. So really encouraging people to utilize us as a resource, whatever that may be and however that may look. So primarily the stages are going in lunch and learns, providing resources for them to continue to move, And the beautiful thing about P3R is we have everything that you need. Events, we have training groups, we have resources, we have programming everywhere. So it's tremendous that everyone can go here as a one-stop shop. The resource library is just in that, a library of all kinds of different health and wellness and active resources that primarily kids and families can do together. So there is a little bit of overlap that, families of Corporate Challenge can utilize this with their kids, but it's primarily for Kids of Steel, so to speak. So that being said, we have all kinds of different activities. So, games, running workouts.
The games, that was like my favorite portion. I was looking at these things like the cats in the corner and stuff like that. I'd never heard of these different games. And I'm like, this is really cool. And you've got a ton that are on there and they all have their own little like specifically made logos. There's a lot of time and effort that's gone into this.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so cool. Like for me, like hearkening back to like my childhood, seeing like a lot of like backyard games that I can subscribe to. Or like subscribe to and be like, yeah, that was like my jam back in the day. Totally. So I think like a lot of kids and families are doing that, but the premise of it is to get families moving together. Yep. With COVID is like restricted so much of life, so to speak, right now. And we wanted to provide this resource to families to say, look, you guys can still be active together. Sure. Like a lot of our programming with Kids of Steel prior to this was in person. So we wanted to be like forward thinking in providing this opportunity and virtual programming and also opportunities to engage with our team via virtual platforms. So, all the videos recorded families can do at home of workouts and activities they can do at home at their own pace. And they can also engage with us via that. So it's super exciting with allowing and breaking down that barrier of like, I don't have any resources. I don't know what to do. Like, how do I keep my kids engaged throughout the day, so to speak? It's been really cool to provide that for families.
It's so important. I mean, my son is almost 8 months old and I fall back into this. I mean, obviously he's not running around just yet, but I just having these little ideas of things to do with your children to keep them active, I can already feel how important it is. Cause I find myself falling into the same thing. Like, all right, I'm going to wake up with Shepherd. Like it's awesome. We have a blast, but I'm like, man, he must be so bored because every day I'm like, okay, we're going to read a little bit. We're going to play with a toy and I'm going to feed you. And it's like, what else can I do? And so it's so nice to have this place where you can go. And I mean, there's a ton. There's like, I didn't count, but it looked like maybe 40 different types of games that you can do with your children to keep them running around. And I can't wait once he gets moving to incorporate some of these things. It's just so neat.
Yeah, absolutely. And we continue to update the resources periodically. Right. I'll continue to like think of games, look up games, and continue to update that like the moment that I get ideas or games that come to me. And then we work, the workout specifically, we film every week.
Okay. So I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. So the process is, we'll film that video, we'll chop it up, we'll edit it, then we'll get it on the resource library. So weekly you can expect, different workouts to be updated. And we've got various different series, as you see, like on there, with like core and stability. And then we have like balance workouts. And then we have, from like a range of beginner, intermediate, and advanced kind of things. So we're reaching kind of like every kid from probably like 5 all the way through high school in the name of like resources that are applicable to them that they can utilize to stay active at home. So much more to come.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm excited. I want to dive a little bit into Kids of Steel. I know we've sort of scratched the surface and we've talked about it here at the resource library, but, obviously the heart and soul, the drive behind all of it is this Kids of Steel program that P3R has created. And, how is it different from the programs that we have for the adults, from the corporate challenge, from the campus challenge? And let's talk a little bit when COVID's not going on. Let's talk about going to the sites. You guys have 180 schools plus, that you guys partner with. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we have 186. I have like the behind the scenes look, of course, so I can give you
give me the numbers, man.
186 sites. We call them teams specifically because sites, the programs run in various different capacities. So it's hard to say like it's just a site kind of thing when some people meet remotely or virtually. So we just call them teams. Mm-hmm. So yeah, within that, on a perfect day, pre-COVID-19, Kids of Steel looks like a wealth of different things. So there are a number of different ways that you can implement the program, as before or after school team, which traditionally is obviously a school, a community site or a community team, where families will come together at a local park, at a local track kind of thing. One person's heading up the operation, so to speak, and they're running and moving together. Yep. And then, as I mentioned, there's like a satellite team. So a coordinator or a coach gets all the resources and then virtually shares within their contingency of kids the resources and information to get kids moving kind of thing. And everyone participates virtually. Gotcha. So we had that like virtual element built in to the program prior to this. But of course, we've seen it become more and more popular due to the circumstances currently. Yeah. So, the premise of the program is to get kids moving and healthy and helping them lead healthy and active lifestyles. Hopefully that trickles to parents or vice versa. But I like to trick kids into running. So I like to combat the preconceived notion that it's track practice. Right. So it's formatted very differently. I like to trick kids to run through games and activities. And yes, we may have, a walk run complex at some point in time, but we're not running 200-meter hill sprints repeats kind of thing. It's not that.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to know that, because I didn't know what an actual, Kids of Steel practice or site meeting looks like. And I imagine that it was more than just running, but that's, it's still at the heart and soul of it. But, again, those games, it makes it, like you said, it tricks them into running, which is key. For sure. Like 14-year-old me would have been like 200-meter hill sprints after school. No thanks. Count me out. So, I'm out. Troy's laughing because I think you can ascribe to that as well. But so it's just tricking kids through games and activities is really, really great. So 186 sites, 186 teams, you can't possibly manage all those, right? I mean, like you said, there are coaches that are there that you guys, and I guess the question is, how do you become a coach? What's the process that you go through to be that leader for your team? Yeah. So to become a coach is pretty streamlined. So of course, you can check out our website. It's a drop down link within p3r.org, and I'm assuming you guys will share it as well. But you can go on our website and sign up to become a coach. Just tell us that you're interested, telling us a little bit about the capacity in which you want to serve, whether it's with your school, within like a community setting, or if it is like a virtual setting or a satellite program as well. It's hard to say no to getting kids up and active and moving and healthy lifestyle. So a lot of people get involved that way as well.
Well, and the lifeline really to this program are those coaches and ambassadors. Like Derrick can only do so much. Leslie, who's the director, can only do so much. We have a new John Cotton, who's on Derrick's team, can only do so much. And we've had some of these coaches within the schools since day one, 8 years ago with this program, kind of lead the charge, whether they're teachers, phys ed teachers, or like Derrick said, just parents, but they're the real lifeline behind this program. And the reason why we, are up to 8,000 kids, Derrick and the team can't manage 8,000 kids, but to have certain teachers in different schools manage 150 or 200 during a preschool or after school program is huge. And the great thing is a lot of those teachers are runners. We see them at the half marathon or the marathon. Sure. They're passionate about it, just like Derrick and the team. So it fits really well to have that type of program set up.
Absolutely. And to piggyback off Troy, we're eternally grateful for all the coaches that get involved. We couldn't make it happen without them. There is a link, of course, on our homepage, as mentioned, of the Kids of Steel site that if you're interested, you can sign up, or even if you just want to hear more about the program and you know someone that's interested and you want to share it off with them, you can do that. So onboarding is pretty streamlined, pretty easy. We try to make this as easy as possible because as Troy's mentioned, this is a lot of time that parents, coaches, PE teachers, administrators, so on and so forth are giving, kind of thing. So I want to make this as easy as possible for everyone to get involved, kind of thing. So I take the liberty of figuring out how to make it easier for you, what your plan and strategy is for leading the practices, and how I can support, kind of thing, kind of leading into the role that I have with being out in the community and doing kind of grassroots outreach and working with kiddos. So it's streamlined to come on board. And we give perks to our coordinators because they definitely earn them.
Tell us about those real quick. I wasn't aware.
Yeah. So maybe I can loop you into one here.
Okay. There we go.
So perks for being a coordinator. Of course, I'll set the foundation is, we don't want any kid to never run the kids marathon or any kind of P3R event due to finances or due to any kind of extrinsic barrier that they may encounter. So we try to offset costs for children that are in need through like scholarship and then opportunities to offset costs for them. Same from a site-wide basis and perspective. But from a coach perspective, we give them free access to run the kids marathon with their kiddo because they're investing all that time. So why not run and cross the finish line with the kids that you're coaching, but also your own children, if that may be applicable to you.
Very cool.
So we offer that. We also offer free registration for them to register for kind of any P3R event within the umbrella.
Wow.
So to speak. Yeah. So with our portfolio, that's pretty exciting with all the races and the things that we have here. And then we support them through coach shirts. We try to build the brand, we give you some swag with shirts and pullovers and so on and so forth to keep coaches looking good. Because half the battle's looking good, right? So
you got to command the respect by looking sharp.
Yeah. Look good, play good. Right. So we do all of those things for coaches, and it's just as a token of our appreciation. I can't tell coaches enough how much we appreciate them. And, just a registration is half the battle, that's half that we could do. So we definitely appreciate, all that they do for us.
Derrick, on this podcast, we talk a lot about stories, right? Yep. Real life stories.
That's what it's all about.
And I don't think there's better stories than the kids program. And I think Derrick knows this. I'm not sure if Eric knows this, but I ran the kids marathon with my kids 2 months before I got hired here. So the only reason I knew about really the organization was from the kids marathon and seeing them kind of go through the process of running 25 miles in the school, whether it was me or my wife taking them before school, because South Fayette does usually before school, they'll run a quarter mile or half mile, and then see it culminating at the finish line. So you got to give me, I know there's probably hundreds of stories, but give me your best story of what you've seen out there in the schools with the kids.
Yeah. So there's, as you've alluded to, there's so many stories to choose from. The easy one is a story of, students, and this isn't just a handful, this is hundreds of students that graduate from a kids marathon, a 1.2 mile race, untimed race, to a competitive 5K, where that will then spark their love of running, and then they'll be in their cross country team at their high school or their middle school, so on and so forth. So that, I don't want to overlook those kind of minute stories there because they are important, and we love that Kids of Steel was a vehicle of kind of getting kids to run. But one of my favorite stories is last year I visited a school early in the morning out in Beaver County, early in the morning. Living here downtown, you can imagine the drive there, but I love it. So I went early in the morning to visit a school in Beaver County, and they get started really early in the morning, and it's tremendous. Because they pack out the gym, get kids running, around circles, around their gymnasium. When the weather's nice, they'll run out on their track and then do some fitness stations and whatnot. So I went to visit their practice one morning, and I saw one parent there. Of course, they get started really early, probably like 7 o'clock. So you can imagine, of course, both of you guys being parents, the strain of like me waking up early, me taking you to practice, and then you want me to run with you kind of thing as a parent kind of thing. And then I have to go get ready for work, and then I have to work my entire work day and come pick you up, and then so on and so forth. But it was so encouraging to see one parent running with their kiddo. I think when I say that, everyone has this preconceived notion that it's a super fit, like avid runner mom or dad. Sure. And that was not the case. And I think that speaks to the full circle, like power of Kids of Steel. That parent is going in there Tuesday and Thursday for 7 or 8 weeks, however long they're running the life of the program, and moving with their kiddo, when it's hard, not when it's like, we're going to do this after school. Like, I'm starting my day early for you and running with you so that we as a family can build healthy and active lifestyles together. So that was just like such a powerful moment. And like, I loved that. And the coach and coordinator was like, yeah, she doesn't, mom doesn't miss a day running with their kiddo.
Awesome.
So shout out to that mom and to that side as well. It's just a beautiful moment going in and seeing that and seeing the power of running and community as well. That it was tremendous.
Sure. Yeah. Our kids can teach us a thing or two every once in a while. It's really, they can draw us into things that make us better too, which is really awesome. It's got to feel good to see that. That's you're seeing the exponential power of what you're doing right there, right in front of your eyes.
Absolutely.
Makes getting up early and going to Beaver County all worth it.
For sure. Totally. For sure.
Totally.
Each year we try to build out the kids marathon better and better each year. And I think exponentially it's gotten better each year.
I've said it before on this podcast. It's my favorite moment of the year. I love the kids marathon. Love
Absolutely. It. Yeah. And I think Troy can echo that. There's something special about seeing 8,000 kids cross the finish line with their mom and dad kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something special. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it, it's nerve wracking to see kids line up from PNC Park to Heinz Field. And for people that don't know, it's, I don't know, almost a half a mile full of kids and parents. So the 8,000 kids turns into 13,000 parents. But then when I go from the start to the finish and seeing those first kids finish, and then for 3 straight hours, and Derrick, you're there with me most of the times, seeing kids just finish. And we're like, when is this ending? And they're like, well, the 24th corral, you know what I mean? The 24th wave just went off. And I think that just shows like this program has just taken off, and we continue to invest in it because it's so important. It's just great to see the growth. And I think Derrick touched on it earlier. It's great to see those 8th graders or 11th graders that have been in the program since day one that are still with, they're running 5Ks or half marathons now. And, they still remember Kids of Steel. So as far as building that brand of Kids of Steel, it's so strong, but it's great to see those kids kind of continued on that journey of wellness and staying active.
This year we are having the first of its ever time within the EQT 10 miler. We are having a virtual 10 for kiddos. So through that program, we're going to be offering cutting edge programming for kiddos and families to move together. So I think that's it's twofold. So mom and dad, if they're signed up for the EQT 10 miler, can move and train with their kiddos. And then also kiddos can move and be active throughout these, extenuating circumstances that we're all under. So that's the first of its time. The Kids Virtual 10, the programming and the way that we're going to be administering the program is going to be cutting edge. It's not going to be traditional by the way that we have done that numerous times. So it's super exciting. And I'm excited to have kids and families engage with the first of its kind programming. So excited about that, but I definitely wanted to plug that. So that's kind of what I'm most excited about at this point in time.
That's it, man. I mean, that's the attitude that we all hopefully can find at some point during this pandemic, is just find something that we can, some lemonade out of all these lemons. And, you've got it right there, Derrick. That's really exciting. I was not aware of that virtual aspect of the 10 mile. And so it's opening the door, because I got to imagine there's an age, there's an age requirement normally for the live 10 miler, correct?
Yeah, so we provide the opportunity to high school age kids, 15 and 16 and above last year, for them to form relay teams.
Relays, right?
Yeah, but it fell upon the same weekend as Whip Hills for
cross country.
So it made it a little bit difficult, but it was an opportunity for those kids that didn't make it to Whip Hills to continue to move as a team.
That's cool,
so to speak. So another week of cross country for them, which was super cool. Never before have we had this opportunity for programming ages 5 and up. So it's going to be super cool for that to kick off this year.
That's exciting. Well, Derrick, thank you so much. This has been great. I just have a question that we ask all of our special guests, and I hope you can come up with something, or if you can't, we're going to force you to, and sometimes that's even more fun. So
Troy's smiling, so I'm nervous.
Yeah, you should be whenever Troy's smiling just like that. So what is the one thing that would surprise all of us to know about you? And I almost brought up a question about you, but I didn't want to take away what your one thing might be, because they might be one and the same. But what's the one thing that would surprise all of us about you to know?
Oh, man. Well, I kind of spoiled it first when we were talking earlier. I just got a burner. I just got a dog.
That's right. Yes.
So I just got a dog. Troy can attest to how tremendous and how beautiful he is. Troy.
I've seen the dog. Yeah, it is. It's a great dog.
So I just got a Bernese Mountain Dog named Howard, aka Howie. He is 4 months old, and he is the pride and joy of my life. I had no idea I would describe to being a solid dog owner, but I am. So that maybe I didn't know that about myself. Yeah.
All right. Now let me just tell you.
I was just gonna say, you got to get.
You want to see the picture?
We got to get a picture up, because here's my burner Reese right there.
Yeah.
So
you guys got the same kind of dog too.
Yeah. The same one. Wow. I mean, we are dog owner brothers right now.
We're burner brothers.
Yes.
It's unbelievable. And let me tell you the surprise me segment for Derrick that he should have. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They're very similar. All right. So I'm at a finish line. I think it was 2018 Liberty Mile. And I go up and start having a conversation.
I know where this is going.
Saying,
this is
Derrick,
what I was going to say.
Derrick, what are you doing? Like, Derrick, what are you doing? Derrick has an identical twin brother, Marcus, who helps at our finish line, that nobody told me that Marcus, the first time I met, was going to be helping us. So I'm talking to Marcus thinking it's Derrick. Yeah. And he looks at me like, hey, I'm Marcus. I'm like, no, quit messing around. Like, seriously, dude.
Who's Marcus?
Right. So that's identical. Yes, that's the surprise me segment.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask a question about that, but I didn't want to ruin it. But the burner is a better surprise. Right. Always better. So,
right?
Marcus and Derrick identical, and they crazy.
The news is out. I try to keep the identical twin story in my back pocket, just so we can have more and more circumstances like what Troy experienced. So,
well, it's out now because thousands of people listen to this podcast. So you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble. Well, thank you so much, Derrick, for being here with us. Thank you for all that you do for the Kids of Steel program, for the corporate and the campus challenges, and just for the crazy outreach that you do for P3R.
I'm happy to serve in my capacity however I can.
Yeah, well, you're doing great. Keep up the great work. We're going to keep you on here real quick while we do this sign off, if that's okay. I want to thank again Derrick Schaffner for being with us here today as our special guest. My co-host, as always, Troy Schooley. Troy, thank you.
Good stuff. Thanks, Derrick, for joining us. That was great.
It was great.
Hey, guys.
And I want to remind all of you, our listeners, please reach out to us with at Run with P3R on all of your major social media platforms. And you can always email us at behindtheline@p3r.org. You can ask us questions, leave us comments, good or bad. We want to know how you guys are feeling about this podcast. You can also give some shout outs to anyone, even if it's your dog, Howard. We want to give him a shout out. And then
say no more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And then want to thank all of you for joining us once again here at Behind the Start Line. I'm your host, Derrick Burnett. Until next time, have fun and keep moving.